Code Blue.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Simple Sunday, brought to you by Thought-Provoking Change. That was perfect timing, Lisa. Hope you've had a great week last week and heading into an amazing week this week. Tonight, we are going to be doing something a little bit different. As you all know, we do a podcast called Hustle Faithfully. And it's really two parts. One part, we do interviews with people and we do series through those interviews. And our current series is called From Burnout to Breakthrough. And it airs Tuesday mornings at 7 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This upcoming Tuesday, we have the Maverick millionaire, Paul Fink, on with us live at 7 o'clock Tuesday morning. So we're looking real forward to that. And we have a multitude of other amazing, incredible guests that are coming on with us from now until the end of that series. We also have two other series that are coming up. And if you'd like to be on any of those, make sure to reach out to us. You can find the schedule for picking your time at www.calendly.com/real Jonathan Ellis, JONATHAN /podcast-guest. Choose your time. We'll come in. We'll interview you for the series. The next two series, one is the power of a positive mindset. And the second one is really an open call, which what that means is we will discuss what you'd like to talk about. And you come in and we interview you. The whole purpose is to inspire and uplift all of our listeners and viewers. And we put this podcast out on all the major streaming platforms, as well as YouTube, and we're on a couple of radio stations as well. We have an listenership of over 30,000 people already, and it is a brand new podcast. So we're really excited about the exponential growth that we are experiencing. The other flip side to the podcast is Ricardo McNeely and myself. We are the co-host of the Hustle Faithfully podcast. And so on Thursdays, we put out at noontime a conversational style between he and I about something very relevant. One of the ones that we did recently was understanding stewardship responsibilities. And the overall premise is we own nothing. We're stewards of everything. You know, we don't own our house, our businesses, anything. We're just here to manage them. We're here to take care of them. And that really makes me think back to yesterday. I was with two people that you may know of. One of them is James Dentley. He is the absolute motivator on YouTube and on all platforms. I'm sorry?
James Dixon.
What did I say?
Dentley.
Yes, James Dixon is the absolute motivator. I got them confused. My apologies, gentlemen. James Dixon is the absolute motivator on YouTube. And I was also with James Dentley. And all of you guys that are here with us live are familiar with James Dentley. He has been on Thought-Provoking Change with us before. And we get the distinct honor, joy, and privilege of being with him on the Hustle Faithfully podcast this upcoming Tuesday at 9 o'clock p.m. So that's going to be a lot of fun. One of the conversations that we had, like I was saying, was understanding stewardship responsibilities. And it was really a two-part series because we keep those a little bit shorter. And I'm going to play part one of that for you guys here tonight. And then we'll come back, we can discuss. And like I said, it's chopped up, so you'll have to tune in Wednesday. I guess we'll do the part two Wednesday. That actually was not how I had it planned. I didn't think about there being two parts to it when I initially thought about playing it tonight. But I can't really give y'all part one without giving you part two. So I guess that's how we'll handle it. So let me get this set up and ready to go. I'm not trying to invite people if they're not here already. They're just not going to get to come in. Y'all can see this?
Yep.
And this is also one time, take pictures of it, take screenshots, do whatever you need to do. I'm hatless. So this doesn't happen very often. I didn't realize until we were finished filming this episode that I was not even wearing a hat. So here we go. Y'all confirm that you can hear it?
Hey, welcome to the Hustle Faithfully podcast.
Everything good with hearing Ricardo right there?
Yes.
All right.
Loud and clear.
Follow us today at www.youtube.com/@hustlefaithfully. Also, you see a link in the bottom of the screen. You can go there and find us on all the podcast streaming platforms. That link is linktr.ee/hustlefaithfully podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing understanding stewardship responsibilities.
Yeah, we wanted to start this discussion because this is something that I don't think we really pay enough attention to, our stewardship responsibilities in our life. And there's a scripture that I'm going to read, but then I'm going to detail those 4 core responsibilities that we have. And we're going to touch on 2 in this episode. The scripture is Matthew 25:29. It says, "For to everyone who has more will be given, who has more will be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away." Now, this scripture, we know in context that what this was talking about in the Bible when you're reading the Bible, but the life application isn't just something that's applicable for the Bible, but it also works when you talk about day-to-day life and business principles. You know, if you've been given a lot and you don't do something with it, well, what you have could be taken away. You can lose it because you don't appreciate what you have. There's no gratitude for what you have. You have this, and it's like you don't have proper stewardship over it. Where, like your family, your business, have it and don't take care of it and see what happens to it. You know, what you had, you can lose. So the 4 core responsibilities that we have, that God has given all of us, it is stewardship over our time, over our talents, over our resources, and over our relationships. So we're going to walk into the first 2, time and talent. John, you want to start the discussion on time?
Time is everything. We have no idea how much we have left. Your time can come to an end any second. So how are you investing your time? What is your time worth?
Right.
Do you know? Have you ever done a time study? Have you ever looked at what you want to earn or what you want to achieve and how long it will take to make that, whether it's a financial goal, whether it's experience or whatever the situation is for you?
Right.
Have you ever taken the time to look at the time that you must invest to achieve what you want to do?
Well, I have, but not in the way that I should have. Now, I just realized just recently from another interview that we had done that there are some things that I need to reevaluate with my time.
That's right.
Like, dude, I'm sitting here looking at time. I know it's a limited commodity. I know it's the most precious commodity that we have. But even beyond that, still not utilizing it and looking at it the right way.
That's right.
You know, how do you see, like, the time that we talked about, the value of time, where you just use the word intentionally. You use invest time and not spend time.
That's right.
That wasn't by accident. You know, what is the difference? Investing that time versus spending that time.
With an investment, you expect a dividend.
Right.
With an investment, you expect to be paid back something. When you spend, you go and you spend money on a pack of bubble gum,
right,
and it's gone.
That's it.
Yet when you invest in something, you're looking for something to come back.
Yeah.
Do you invest your time with your family or do you spend time with your family? Okay, so what's the difference? It's the same thing, right? No. You see, you can have a family date night. Everybody's sitting in the living room, you're watching a movie. Are you there? Yes, physically you are present. Are you watching the movie? Are you spending time with your family, meaning you're there, but maybe you're scrolling social media. Maybe you're thinking about what's going on at work the next day. Maybe you're thinking about an alternate life. Or are you investing the time where you're enjoying the movie with your family? And so when your child turns around and looks at you, or your wife or your husband looks at you and says, well, what do you think? You don't have to say, I don't know, I wasn't paying attention.
Right.
At that point, it brings up dialogue. It brings up something that you can go on. You know, some of the best memories for me in front of the TV, I'm not a big TV person. Yet some of the biggest memories that I have with the television is several years ago, I took my kids out to Los Angeles, California. Couple months later, we were watching a movie. And I don't recall who it is. I think it's a record company. They had the big circular building out there, Capitol Records. My daughter looks at me and says, Dad, we just saw that. Right. That's the point of investing time. Yeah. It's just a building. Yeah. But yet when your kids can look at you and say, hey, we were there. We did this. Yeah. Life is about experiences. Experiences come with time.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing about the experiences and the memories that your kids get, because everything isn't necessarily about what they're going to build based on what they've gained from the time invested. It's what they'll remember.
That's right.
About the time that was invested. They'll always look back and say, man, I remember when my dad or my mom used to do this with me. I used to take that with me. And here they are, they're 37. They remember a memory that they got when they were 6.
That's right.
They were 10. It mattered that much. And every time they think about it, they could be having a horrible day, but your investment at that time, they turn around and it's one of those things where they instantly feel like that warm, loving feeling.
That's right.
That they didn't have before, but now they have it.
Absolutely.
They remember that.
And it comes in such interesting ways. Going back to that exact trip when we were in Los Angeles. Now, at the time, I was driving a truck that I still have. It's a Ford F-350 dually. Yeah. You know, very wide body. It's a dually. We pulled into a parking structure. Now, it was a flat parking lot. It wasn't a parking garage. And they gave me a price to pay when I got in there. And we had just come from Vegas before we were in Los Angeles. And my kids encouraged me. They're like, Dad, buy some of this magic stuff and start learning magic tricks. And so I did. And people that know anything about magic, there is a phrase that, it actually escapes me right now. But there's a phrase that magicians say. And we were just having fun. Abracadabra is the phrase. And we were just having a good time. And I said, "Comb Chicky Chow." And it was just my spinoff on the popular abracadabra. Just days ago, one of my daughters made that comment to me, "Comb Chicky Chow." Now, here's the whole thing. What does that mean? Right. Nothing. It was fun and it was in the moment. Yeah. But that was an investment into them. Yeah. I have a son that plays football. You know, as a family, we are at those games every Tuesday night. Yeah. And that's an investment. I had the conversation with him recently about some kids never had their parent show up to a game no matter how long they play. And that's heartbreaking when you think about it. It is. But yet, he'll never forget the fact that we were there. He'll never forget the fact that we attended no matter what. And that's the difference between spending your time and investing your time. Yeah. You really put it in to get something back. It's the love, it's the memories. Yeah. Like you said, you never know when that little bit of investment will put a smile on their face on a bad day 10 years later.
Yeah. And being able to categorize that time appropriately, it helps you to prioritize when you're looking at how you schedule your day. Like, if I'm looking at investing this time, if I'm looking at my time correctly, then my schedule will reflect that investment. Right. What's important to me? Is it this job? is it this conversation I'm going to have with this person, that whether it's a business deal I'm trying to close or whatever it is it the time that I need to take to go and watch this football game? Do I let this meeting run over knowing it's going to cause me to miss part of this game?
Mm-hmm.
Do I allow this person that showed up late
mm-hmm.
to devalue my time and then cause me to devalue the time that I get to invest with my son?
Right.
No, I don't. My time matters, and I can't get it back. So what I won't do with my schedule and with my life is let somebody who didn't value my time steal time from my child.
Right.
Steal time from my wife. Like, there's a certain flexibility in life that you have to have, but when it comes to prioritizing that time and what you give your family, they cannot get the scraps left over because you've given everything to everybody else. So that's how important that evaluation of time is. Like, because you don't get an unlimited source of it. It's not unlimited. It's a limited commodity, so you have to treat it that way. And that means I don't have time to get distracted by stuff that doesn't matter. I don't have time to deal with things that people say to me, or they say about me, or things that's happening around me. Just because it happens to me and affects me personally doesn't mean it's personal against me, in the sense that they may have an issue, and because they're angry, I just happen to be the one that they focus on. So now I'm going to make their issue my issue.
Right.
It affected me personally, but it's not personal against me. So I'm not going to walk away with it. I'm going to leave it right there. You take the time you have and spend it on that.
Right. I'm
going to invest it somewhere else. So being able to look at it that way, man, it helps you prioritize things in your life and move differently. Now the activities of your life reflect the investment that the time you have that you're invested in.
Absolutely, it does. So part 2 of understanding stewardship responsibilities is talents.
Yes.
That's your responsibility to discover, develop, and deploy our God-given abilities for His glory and to benefit others.
Yeah.
Talent stewardship, it involves identifying our strengths.
Mm-hmm.
It involves passions, identifying our passions and the gifts, as well as seeking opportunities to use them in various domains of our life.
Yeah.
Talent stewardship, it also requires learning.
Mm-hmm.
It requires improvements and excellence for us to reach the ultimate level.
Yeah, it does, which is one thing that the people that's watching the podcast are doing now. This is an investment.
Absolutely.
You've invested a lot, both physically, financially, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, into learning and increasing those talents that God has given you, the gifts that He's given you. It goes back to investment. I mean, you invest in time in increasing the talent, because both of them are part of our stewardship responsibility. And it allows you to do what you're doing right now, which is to now invest in other people with the time and the talent that you yourself are investing.
That's right.
So it's like it's a rewarding thing, where it's not just rewarding me, it's rewarding other people, because what we do isn't simply about us. It's about what I'm able to possess so that I can give it away. What do I have that I'm going to give away to my sons and daughters? What do I have that I'm going to give away to the rest of my family? What am I going to give to the employees that you may have, or the people that you may run into out in public who are empty in that area? Well, you've invested and have enough where you overflow in their life. So what you're talking about with the gifts and talents, God didn't give it to us just for us. He gave them to us to deploy into the earth around us in order to glorify Him. And it will benefit us because God is able to work out of us what He placed in us.
That's right. When you learn and when you grow, like you said, you live in the overflow. Mm-hmm. That is my ultimate goal with everything, every business decision, every growth track, every personal development, is for me to have so much fill in my cup that people that are around me, they're catching the overflow.
Yeah.
I'm all about pouring into people.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have so much poured into you, that's why I'm always looking for a mentor. That's why I'm always looking for somebody who has what I want, no matter if it's spiritually, physically, financially, whatever.
Right.
but you always find somebody who has it.
Mhm.
Because when you do that, you're going to level up.
Yeah.
We've all heard that concept that show me your 5 friends and I'll
Mhm.
show you who you're going to become.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Mhm.
And my thing is, I am all about finding those who I can model my life after.
Yeah.
And finding those who can model their life after what I'm learning, so that we all learn and we all grow together. And it's like a slingshot effect. You know, you take the person that's maybe not to your level and whatever the situation is, you pick them up and you slingshot them beyond where you're at, with the hopes that they're going to do it for you. Now, that doesn't always happen, yet there will be somebody there that will do it for you, even if it's not that same person. You know, I recall several months ago, probably a year or two ago, actually, you were allowing me to park some of my work vehicles on your land.
Mhm.
And we had a conversation. I don't know if you even remember this, but you said, you know, we're allowing you to do this, but the reward for us might not come from you. And that's true. When you're looking from that person that you poured into, it might not come from them. They might not be in your life for you to receive it from them. We all know about reciprocity. Give and it will be given unto you. It's biblical. Give and it will be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together. Your cup will overflow. That's what we're talking about. Yet, who you give to is not always who you receive from.
Right.
That doesn't mean that they gave you the short end of the stick.
Right.
It just means that yours will come from somebody else. You know, I have a dear friend that he and I had a phone conversation about a week and a half ago. And he said, Jonathan, what can I do to help you? And he's a Christian friend. He said, you know, spiritually, emotionally, what can I do to help you?
Yeah.
Now, how many people say that to us? But then when it's tested, they're not there. He is doing a program. And I actually put my name into the hat. They accepted me before everything was final. Now, that's what it's about. You know, there's been people that I have poured into that they got what they wanted to get and then they left. And to me personally, I feel defeated a lot of times when that happens. It's like I poured into you and then you're just going to leave like that. It's like, it's not worth it. But then when you turn around and you see somebody like that says, you know what, Jonathan, come on. I've got your back. I'm here for you. Let me pour into you. That's where it all comes full circle. And it's like everybody else that I helped, great. He's helping me. Yeah. And that is where those talents come in at. I mean, you continue to grow and you give your talents to others and others give their talents to you.
Well, and that's why it's so important when you do these things to not do it necessarily for immediate gain.
That's right.
I mean, because the thing is, if that's your goal, then you should have done it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like someone saying, "I'm sorry," and you say you mean it, but let them not say, "I'm sorry" back. Then all of a sudden you're upset. Well, you didn't say sorry back. Did you do it to hear sorry from them?
That's right.
Or did you want them to understand that you really meant what you said to them, but you didn't mean to do that? You didn't intend to hurt them that way, and you genuinely feel for how you felt them. I mean, how you hurt them, and I want you to know I'm sorry. I value you more than that. Because when you say sorry and they don't say it back and you get upset, that wouldn't be right. You wanted to get that back from them.
Right.
Because you wanted to feel better about the crap you may have done, and them telling you they're sorry makes you feel better about what you're not really sorry about, because that's why you responded. So it's like, why am I going to go out here and do something and set someone else to disappoint me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I set them up. I didn't go to pour into them. I set them up to disappoint me so I can walk around now with hurt feelings.
Mm.
Like, why am I going to do that to myself? Why am I going to do it to them? Because it was my job to take what I was given, the talent I was given, the gifts that I was given, and to pour into someone else, right? Knowing that this glorifies him. Right? You know, there's an example that I have of a time period where there was things that we had going on, my wife and I, and it was a struggle for us, like really a real struggle for us. And she said, you know, you're always gone. You're doing these ministry things, and you're out with this person and that person. You're on this call and that call, and it's like I'm not around. And that wasn't my intent. Wasn't to not be around. For me, it was taking what God has given me and investing it in other people. Well, I simultaneously was not necessarily investing in her and at home in the right way. But what ended up happening is, with the investment that was made out there, God made a way that allowed me to not have to do some of the things that I did in the way that I did, because some of it was business, some was just ministry. But I made an investment, and even if I didn't get it directly from the individuals, a return on it, I was obedient to what he said to do for about 6-7 months. She'll vouch for it. We would show up at home, pull up in the driveway, and there were envelopes of money in the mailbox. There would be things that just show up out of the blue at the house. We didn't ask for it. We weren't looking for it. We weren't out pandering and trying to get something. We were taking the time that we had and investing it in other people, the gifts and talents, and sowing into ministry and sowing into helping other people. No, don't worry about it. You don't have to pay me anything. I'm gonna help you because I can. Well, that stuff that was showing up gave me an opportunity to not have to be gone so much working, in addition to the ministry stuff. And I was able to now buy back time to spend more time at home with my wife. And when I say spend, I really mean investing more time at home with my wife. But it allowed me to do that. So that's one of those examples of, was I out doing it for gain, or was that an investment for those that are around me so that I can help them and pour into them? Because in the end, God made sure I was good, make sure my family was good, because that overflow out of what I gave came in without me asking for it. That's the benefit of stewarding over what he's giving you well, because if you steward over the gift well, the gift will keep on giving.
Mm-hmm. Our time, our talents, our efforts, none of it's ours. It's all finite.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be taken in a moment.
Yeah.
It's not ours to own per se.
Right.
It's ours to steward over.
Yes, sir.
Our business is ours to steward over. It's ours to take care of.
Yeah.
Our family is ours to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
How are you stewarding your time? Right. How are you investing in those that are most important to you? You invest in your business. How much do you invest in your family? How much do you invest into your wife, into your husband? How much do you invest into your kids? That's where the stewardship of your time comes in at. And do a time study. I was speaking with somebody recently about a time study, and they put it out to me in a way that I have never heard before. I've heard so many people say, chunk your day down into 4 6-hour blocks and do this and this block, this and that, on down the list. However, this person, it was so profound in the way they put it. They said, look at your life hour by hour and go back and, do it in 15-minute, 30-minute chunks, whatever it is, and see what you did there. Number one, you're going to realize how much time you're wasting. I'm only going to scroll Facebook for a minute. Okay.
2 hours later.
2 hours later, or you only scroll for a minute.
Yeah.
Cool. Every 4.5 minutes.
Right.
And then you realize, you look at your daily usage. I wasn't on there for 8 hours today. Well, you were. Yeah. And when you take stewardship over the time that God has given you, that's when you can make so much happen. No matter how big a company grows, no matter how successful somebody appears to be, at the time of the recording of this podcast, Elon Musk sits atop the list of the richest person in the world. And he has the same 24 hours in his day that you have in yours, that I have in mine. Yeah. So why is he able to develop all of this stuff? Because he's a good steward of his time.
Yeah, he is. And a great steward over his talent and gifting, because he made wise investments early on. And then he did the necessary work to invest in his gifts and his talents. And then what that allowed him to do was to now know where he's strong, and then to know what he knows, and then to invest in what he doesn't, and to delegate the rest.
That's right.
Because I'm going to delegate this other stuff. I'm going to work out of my strength realize I don't do this well. I want to hire people to do this stuff. And that's important to do because it's a great use of your time. Because why would he take all of this time that he has in this small window that we have? This, we get life in moments. We don't get days at a time. We get moments at a time. I don't have the rest of the day. I just have now. So why am I going to take this and spend it in an area that will be fruitless because I'm not good here? How about I invest it in the area of strength where I know I'm going to produce, right? And then give that moment that they have to do something to be fruitful, right? Because they're doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm doing what they're supposed to be doing. We're both wasting time and are fruitless in our pursuits. So Elon did the very thing that we all should do, which is learn where am I strong, admit areas where I'm weak, continue to grow in those areas where I have a strength, and delegate my weaknesses. Right. That's a great use of time, a wise investment in talent and gift development, but also an investment in time.
That's right. Don't focus on minimum wage activities.
Oh, my Lord, man.
What is your time worth? Figure it out, develop what your time's worth. And if you're doing a task that pays beneath what your time is worth, don't do it. Somebody else can handle it. And I'll tell you this. Most stuff can be handled by somebody else, and probably better than you can handle it, no matter how good you are. Elon doesn't do most of the work with Tesla. Elon doesn't do most of the work with SpaceX. Elon doesn't do most of the work with everything else. He handles what he needs to handle, and he has the other thousands of people handle that. Now, I understand most people are not in the situation where they have thousands of employees. I understand. But we also don't have businesses to that scale, to that size. So what do you have that you can pass off to somebody else so that you can focus and do what you are good at? Like you were just saying, I'm doing what you should do. You're doing what I should do. We're both wasting time. Yeah. What if you're doing what you should do and they're doing what they should do for you, and you're able to do what they were attempting to do in a third of the time because it's your skill set, and they're able to do what you were doing because it's their skill set in a third of the time? Guess what? You just opened up 2/3 of both of your time.
Yeah.
You just bought back your time.
Man, John, you said something a minute ago that kicked me in my jaw, and it just kept resonating in my head when you said minimum wage activities. Oh, when I tell you that hit me, because I'm sitting here saying, you got all these millionaire thoughts, but you got minimum wage activities. And you're wondering why you're frustrated.
Right.
Because your thinking is in one place where you see millionaire, but your life says minimum wage.
Right.
Because your activities are minimum wage activities. You're wasting time on activities that will never produce what those thoughts, those millionaire thoughts, are showing. So you're going to stay in a place of frustration. Man, yeah, that one hit me. Because I think I've invested in some minimum wage activities in my life.
Right.
Recently. And that's why the conversation we had about time was so important, about chunking it down. What are you doing in this time that you have? Man, it's going to make me evaluate mine even more. And I thought I had already evaluated. Right. But I'm literally, this is a part of growing. We talk about growing in your gifts and your talents and stewardship. If you're not willing to say, you know what, maybe I got this wrong, then you won't be able to grow because you won't do the necessary things to get rid of the things that's hindering growth and to welcome the things that increase or promote growth. Because you keep holding on to them. You won't let them go. Me admitting it is me exposing and giving it away.
That's right.
Because I want the stuff that aids in my growth. So this is good.
Absolutely. Good. So this week we have covered 2 of the 4 principles of understanding stewardship responsibilities. The first 2, number 1 is time, and number 2 is talents. Next week, we will cover number 3 and number 4. Ricardo, what's number 3 and number 4?
Resource and relationship.
Getting excited.
Resources and relationship. That was the second 2 of the 4 core stewardship responsibilities. We've gotten the time, we've gotten the talents, but now because we've stewarded well over the first 2, resources available. We have more assets, we have more things. But what do we do with them? And then our relationships. They're the beneficiaries of everything that we've done. That's right. Proper stewardship of time, proper stewardship of talents, and then the accumulation of resources because of stewardship. Our families, our relationships should benefit from all of it.
Absolutely. We say that our family is our legacy. What are you doing for your family?
You better believe.
What are you doing to be here for them? Are you taking care of yourself physically, spiritually, mentally? Or are you letting it go by the wayside so you can focus on other things that are less important? Be with us next week as we discuss the rest of this episode. Remain blessed and unstoppable. We'll see you again next week.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back, Susan. I know Kate's in there. Lisa is working as well. So that was part one of understanding stewardship responsibilities. So that was time and talent, the first two of all four. And the thing is to manage your time, to manage your talent. Because your talent can go by the wayside. You can waste away your talent. How many of us have huge talents that we never use? You know, there's certain skill sets that you earn that can never be taken from you. Knowledge can never be taken from you. Your education can't be taken from you. You know, your job, it can go by the wayside. We can all lose our job tonight. But yet, when you manage your time expectation, it's huge. I spoke in that about, what did I just do? I had just had a conversation with someone about time management. And that someone, say, here's insider information y'all get because you're the cool kids. We had just done an interview with Drew B. Wilson, which is Ryan Stewman's right-hand man, less than an hour before Ricardo and I did that recording. And like I mentioned, I've heard so many people say, chunk your day into 4 6-hour days. 6 hours is for sleep, 6 hours is for work, 6 hours is for family, 6 hours is for whatever. You know, you fill it in how it works for you. Yet he was so much more thorough. And you want to know how to do time management? You want to understand exactly how to organize your day to get the maximum out of your day? Make sure that you watch when we air Drew B. Wilson live. That episode, all of the episodes that we have done so far, because some of them, even though they are put out live Tuesday mornings at 7 a.m., some of them are pre-recorded. And obviously, Drewby is one that we've already recorded, and that was absolutely incredible what he shared. I mean, number one, I'm a huge fan of Ryan Stewman, Apex, that entire group, which is Drewby and Blake and Zach Sasser and a bunch of other people. Absolutely incredible group. So to have one of them on the podcast with us and to have the number two in charge, it was really special for me. Make sure that you check that recording. Y'all saw the link the entire time that was playing. That will take you to where you can hear the podcast on all of the streaming platforms. Also, go over to YouTube and join the page if you have not already. It's youtube.com/@hustlefaithfully. We have some amazing, amazing interviews coming up. We have more amazing in-depth stuff. And I'll tell y'all, the real premise to what we do when we're recording, and this has just recently changed. Susan, I'm going to mute you. I'm getting feedback. It is, we're having a conversation with each other of timeless information. You know, there's some things that you can talk about that it changes with time. If we do podcast recordings about politics, it's going to change during the next presidential cycle. That's just an easy example as it is coming up. And we will be doing political related content as well, seeing as it will be something very relevant. But the majority of everything that we record with one premise. If we could talk to our children in 20 years, if we could talk to our grandchildren or our great-grandchildren and us not even be there to physically talk to them, what would we say? And that's what we're really thinking about while we're recording these is what kind of timeless information. As you can see, we don't get in depth. We stay broad with it intentionally because we want it to be so simple for everybody to understand. With the radio stations that we play on, we are in multiple countries. So we want it to be so simplistic that everybody can understand what's being said. And that's the thing of taking care of your time is, okay, how can we take our time right now and talk to our future family? Our kids, their kids, about stuff that's going to be real. Susan, Kate, Lisa, how can we talk to, or not talk to, how can we manage our time right now to make sure that we're getting the most out of each day? What can we take out of our lives that, quite frankly, is a waste of time? I have a feeling that all of us have something that wastes time.
Social media.
Bingo. There's a big one. It was not unintentional that we hit on that.
But that's how we connect this way, is through social media.
Right. It's not all bad.
No, but we need a balance.
We need a balance. Yep. Thank God I have people that really run my social media for me. If I was running it for me, that would be that many more hours that I would spend on social media every day. So that's a huge advantage. And I have somebody else run that for me. And then I get to go out on a date with my wife. I have a mastermind group that I meet with on Wednesdays. And luckily, I got to talk to the leader of my small mastermind Thursday, I believe it was, about a real estate deal. And the beauty to this is I haven't been on those calls on Wednesdays in the past 2 weeks. And I even told him, I said, I've got to get something figured out. I've got to get something changed around because while that mastermind is going on, while that weekly call is going on, that's a date time with my wife. You know, luckily, we both work from home. Most of the time, that's luckily. I mean, sometimes I think both of us want to be doing something outside of the house, even if it's not for a long period of time. If you work in the house, you understand that. If you work and live in the same place, you understand sometimes you just want to be out. Yet, if you don't work in the house, then it's like, no, all I want to do is be in. We take our date time very seriously. Now, typically it's just lunch. But to me, that's a big deal. Because there are times where she is so busy or I am so busy or we just, if we did not take that time, we would barely talk to each other through the day, even though we're 20 feet apart, typically no more than that at any time. So what can you take out of your life or what can you add? How can you reduce the time that you do this or do that to increase more time to do what's needed? To have more time to pour into what matters. And we all have different things that matter the most to us. Same thing with your talents. What are your talents? periodically we get to hear Susan on the phone while she's at work. And hearing her on the phone at work when she's in a professional setting versus, well, she's been over to my house. We've gone to conferences together. You're seeing somebody completely different on the phone when she has that speaker in her ear. Why? Because that's a huge talent she has. You are very skilled at what you do. We hear you, and Kate and I have talked about that exact situation of, like, you put that headset on, completely different person. You've got a talent for talking to people. And Susan, have more confidence in yourself. You know?
It's coming.
It's there.
I'm learning.
It's there. You just have to harness it. You just have to let
It's
it out.
just buried. It's just buried. Have to go unleash it.
Well, let's get it out. Because I'll tell you this, Susan. I mean, this is kind of putting you on the spot. I hope you don't mind. Is that okay? Because we are live on social media.
Go for it.
It's easier for you to pick on yourself, even your SOB initials. It's easier for you to pick on yourself than give somebody else the opportunity to do it first.
That's true.
Yep. Once you have that confidence in yourself, you'll have no need to say, I mean, at times there will be a reason to say my initials are SOB. I mean, my initials are JSC. But I guarantee you this, you'd say it a lot less because you say it as a joke. Even though it's legitimate, it's your initials.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get that confidence out of you because it's there and it should be. You're stellar on that phone. I mean, here's the thing, Susan. You do it day in and day out. You probably don't even think about it because it's just normal and natural to you.
Right.
Before you hit record on this call tonight, you were already on here. And here's the reality, Susan. Yes, there were machines attached to this person. There were doctors and nurses that probably ran into that room. But unless there's a different meaning for code, well, I'm not going to say what code it was because that could be a personal thing, even though none of us know who it was. I asked Kate, I said, do you know what that means? And she said, yeah, somebody probably needs to be resuscitated. Is that it at your hospital? Yeah. I would imagine that code is the same no matter what hospital you're in. But see,
it's pretty standard. It's a pretty standard code. It's universal.
Yeah, I kind of figured. But see, here's the thing, Susan. You did that without missing a beat. You could have just saved their life. I understand there's machines hooked up to them. But here's the thing. You were prompt with what you did. You were quick with it. You were professional with it. You could have just saved their life, and you just went on like nothing happened.
Yeah, it's just part of my job.
But it doesn't matter. You may have just sent a daddy back home to his kids. You may have just sent a mama back home to her husband. You may have just sent a kid back home to their parents. But to you, it's just another day on the job. See, Susan, when you start realizing that about you and who you are and what you do, you'll have a lot more confidence. You'll poke your chest out there a little bit more and say, yeah, this is me. This is me. It's not a cocky thing. It's not an arrogant thing. My middle son told me earlier today, right before I left, I've been with Ricardo for much of the day today. And he told me right before I left, he said, you walk different. He said, since you've built some muscle, he said, your chest pokes out, your shoulders are kind of back like they should be. He said, you just walk different. And Ricardo and I were talking about that tonight. He said, yeah, you feel better about yourself. I said, yeah. And see, here's the whole thing. I think she's on a call right now. See, there she goes, saving somebody else's life. You know all about this, Lisa. We have two lifesavers by trade on the call with us right now. But see, here's the thing. When you realize that and when you walk in that, you'll have more of a reason to know you're the shit. I mean, seriously. You can be as modest about it as what you want to be. But you and Lisa both have saved lives. I know you have. So are you doing exactly what you want to do? Maybe. Maybe not. But I'll tell you, there's a lot of families out there that are very grateful for the both of y'all, even though they don't know you, even though they'll never meet you. Or if they do meet you, they're just going to think you're shopping at Walmart just like they are and think nothing of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, you know, and I know that you saved their family's life, legitimately, physically saved their life. You want to talk about understanding stewardship responsibilities? You want to talk about your talents? There's y'all's talents. Kate never put a student under. And I'm not saying failed them. I'm talking like physically took their life. I don't know that I could say that if I was a school teacher. I've been around those kids for just a little bit. There was one year that she told me that I don't need to come into her classroom because when we first got together, I spent many days up there at the school and I would work in her classroom. Then it got to the point where she's like, you probably don't need to be here.
And Stewart said he would go to jail if he were a teacher.
Yeah. Y'all understand your talents. And don't minimize it either. I can look there and say I have talents of pressure washing, and yes, I do. I could still, even though it beats my body up, even though I really don't care to ever be behind a gun again because it does beat my body up, I could still run around most people on planet Earth with the pressure washer. I am that good. However, I could give you names and numbers of people that I have worked with one-on-one to overcome some life challenges that I guarantee you they'd tell you I have other talents that are far more important than pressure washing. So don't minimize who you are and what you bring to this world. Does anybody have anything to say in closing, as our time is just about up with you wonderful people tonight, except for my wife?
You know, I was brought to my attention today by a patient who came back after a year, and she came looking for me because she wanted to say hi and tell me what a difference I made in her life. And do you want to know what I did? I bought her a soda and a bag of Cheetos. And I got her a fan because the patient sharing the room with her liked it really hot and she was sweating all the time, like, you know, a paper fan. That's what I did for her. And that was really nice. And that happened today. And she said, I really made a difference in her life. And then one of the doctors I was working with, I made a mistake today because I'm not feeling that well. And I told him, I said, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I just like, I misread the text. And he goes, that's okay. You're a really good nurse. And I was like, wow, that was really nice to hear. So, you know, it's coming back and it's nice to be able to receive it and accept it and know it's true.
Yes. Was it hard for you to receive it? Was it hard for you to accept it? Honestly, was it?
Okay. So no, because a year ago, I wouldn't have even heard her. Okay, it would have went right over my head, but I've done so much work on this that when somebody actually gives me a compliment, I take the time to actually hear them and receive it, because that's the personal growth. A year ago, and 2 years ago, I didn't even know how to accept a compliment. I would, so there's just so much personal growth there. So yes, once I did hear it, heard them both. I heard them both, and I heard a lot of them this weekend because it was multiple times. I think I'm just starting to hear them now, which I didn't hear before, which is kind of interesting and really great at the same time.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
That's it. That's all I got.
Well, that's great. Thank you for sharing. Susan, do you have a challenge? Do you have an issue? Is it hard for you to accept somebody telling you positives about you?
I mean, not all the time. I guess it's just because I don't like to be in the spotlight.
So, said in one word, is that a yes or a no?
Is it hard to accept compliments?
Compliments, because that would be you saying it to yourself. Somebody else giving you a compliment. Do you shy it away? Do you look for reasons why it's not true? Do you minimize?
I don't think I look for ways that it's not true. I mean, I appreciate compliments.
Okay. We have 4 minutes left. Susan, you're amazing.
Thank you. You're amazing too. So is Lisa and Kate. So are Lisa and Kate.
You're a lifesaver. Lisa, you're a lifesaver. You're incredible. And I say the best for last. Kate is a lifesaver. She saved my life. Learn how to accept compliments. Learn how to steward your time. And understand your talents and take care of them. Somebody needs your talent. Somebody needs what you were designed to be on this earth for. Don't steal it from somebody. In closing, I will say this. There could be somebody that wasted their talent, an American that wasted their talent, that should be effectively and positively running this country. And since they let their talent go to waste, we're stuck with Joe Biden for now. Everybody have a great and wonderful night. We will see you Wednesday night. That was for you, Susan. We will see you Wednesday night for Wisdom Wednesday. Be blessed and remain unstoppable.